Hey folks, with us once again are the parents of Ellen Greenberg, Sandy and Josh Greenberg, who are now observing the 13th anniversary of their daughter's death, which the authorities have insisted to this day is a clear-cut suicide when so much evidence, compelling evidence, appears to point to just the opposite. So, Sandy and Josh, where does your case stand now while you're still mourning your daughter's death? For 13 years now, you've been stonewalled by a variety of authorities and a variety of offices, but maybe there's some clear sailing ahead. So where does it stand now? What's happened?
I'm trying to find the right words to say.
Basically, there have been a number of things favorable and one thing unfavorable. The unfavorable was an upper level court ruling that Sandy and I do not have standing to bring this matter to trial.
Right.
On the other side of the same ruling, there was 32 pages where they say we should find out what happened to our daughter. We have every right to that, and it should happen.
That was the Commonwealth Court. I'm just explaining for people who may not have all the details. Commonwealth Court ruled last year that you did not have standing to challenge the medical examiner's finding that it was a suicide rather than a homicide, a murder, or undetermined. Even though the parents, they claimed, the court claimed, 2 out of the 3 judges claimed you had no standing. However, all 3 judges agreed that the investigation was very flawed and more should be done to investigate the case. So it was kind of an odd ruling that they wouldn't give you a standing, yet they recognized, all 3 judges recognized that it was a very poor investigation into your daughter's death. So what's happened since then, Josh?
Well, a local judge has finally made the city give us the police records.
Good.
So we have more evidence, and supposedly we have more evidence. Let's put it that way. Also, supposedly we have the evidence that the police have. We are also going ahead with our lawsuit against the 3 medical examiners who we believe willfully tried to cover up a homicide by calling it a suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And our attorney is preparing to do depositions, which I believe will start with Guy DeAndrea, who was the first one who really looked at this case and said something's wrong here, while he was working for the city of Philadelphia as a assistant district attorney.
Right. Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, he brought to light some of the irregularities with it.
And to this day, he has done podcasts. He has done call-me-ins and things like that to support that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we have filed with the Supreme Court of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to get what we want, which is to go to trial.
Okay, now also there's depositions that could begin as well.
Correct. Starting with Guy DeAndrea.
All right. Well, that could lead to new evidence. Now, an interesting sidelight to this is that last year it ended up in the Chester County DA's hand. It was kicked over to them because Josh Shapiro, the then Attorney General, rather than the governor, the then Attorney General, was accused
He
of.
thought there might be a conflict of interest, which he discussed just before the election, 4.5 years after he had the case under his scrutiny.
Yeah, and did nothing but reaffirm the finding of suicide. And for those not familiar with the details, there were 20 stab wounds, 10 in the front, including right through her heart, 10 in the back, even her neck way up there, which would have been hard to reach. 20 stab wounds altogether, clear-cut suicide. And they all stuck with that finding. But
parenthetically, Larry, we have never seen a scintilla, I learned a new word, of evidence that the Attorney General produced. In fact, some of this stuff is so absurd. On the anniversary of Ellen's death, what's his name?
Christopher Phillips.
Christopher Phillips was going to release a press release saying that he could tell Ellen was suicidal on the day of the suicide. Absurd. I mean, the man has no psychiatric, has no psychological, there's no appearance. They never even called Ellen's psychiatrist to find out what the psychiatrist had to say about all this.
And
And the psychiatrist is a medical legal expert who worked with Ellen
and
and
Philip,
knew Ellen.
Members of Josh Shapiro's Attorney General's staff, none of them had psychological
Training,
degrees and training.
as far as we know.
and they were claiming that she might have been suicidal because of alleged searches on her computer, which are very questionable.
Yes, the FBI said there were none.
Yeah.
When the city of Philadelphia turned the computer over to the FBI said no. And also, you have to remember, it's best to remember that the chain of custody of that computer and other things of hers, other personal possessions, were taken out of the apartment by
The fiance's uncle.
Uncle Schwartzman. So that means the chain of custody theoretically was broken.
Yeah. All right. Now,
which means anything on the computer may be questionable.
also, getting back to the Chester County DA, who was Deb Ryan at the time, was
Right.
over into her lap, but now she ran for election. She's a judge now, and there's a new DA in town in Chester County, and there's been no contact from him to you, correct?
None.
To Josh and I directly.
No.
However, there's a lot of digging that reporters can do about the connection between Deb Ryan and Josh Shapiro.
Specifically?
Oh, yeah.
You can dig that up. I'm not gonna do your work for you.
Okay. There have been a number of allegations that there were some connections there that
Well,
had remained.
there's a number of conflicts of interests within the administration when Josh Shapiro was the Attorney General, and connections between Deb Ryan and Josh Shapiro. And that's what good reporters do, is they'll find that out.
Now, you were interviewed by Deb Ryan's office before she became a judge. That was
Right.
Yes.
And how extensive was that? How detailed was that? How useful was that
To whom?
to you in your case?
Not very. They didn't seem to know much.
They didn't seem to know much, and we never got any feedback after. Questions, concerns, could we elaborate on this and that? They were writing furiously as we were giving them details, and basically
We didn't feel they
that
had
was an
it.
afternoon, and then nothing. I don't feel anything.
We don't feel they had anything. We don't even feel that the Attorney General gave them anything of his, because he had nothing of his. That's what we think.
So I'd like to know what they were doing. They were just wasting time in our lives.
And they still are.
So you didn't hear from them after that initial interview?
No.
And the new guy in town, the new DA, you haven't heard from him either.
I don't even know if he has a name.
Well, the name, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, is Chris DiBarana Sarobi.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a mouthful.
And he's also a Democrat, by the way.
Oh, good. But we have not heard from him.
No, we haven't met him.
Or heard anyway.
You know, putting aside the details of the case now, and hopefully some progress finally being made, some inroads maybe that you can make now. For 13 years, it's been a stone wall. What's kept you going? A lot of people would say, you know, it would have given up a long time ago.
Ellen Greenberg was our daughter.
But
You don't give up on what you love.
every time you pursue this, every time you think about it, every time you contact your lawyer, every time you follow what the authorities are doing or not doing, you relive the anguish of the death of your daughter.
And every time we didn't do that, we would have it every day, every hour, every minute. So we feel we're better off the way we are.
Yeah.
We're doing something. We have a mission. We have a purpose.
Yeah.
It's not like we're in the little corner of the room with nothing to do, nothing to say, just crying over a lost daughter. We have a mission. And it's also come to light, some of what we're doing, which is for Ellen, may help somebody else.
Mhm. Yeah, we've said in previous interviews together that this goes beyond your own case area. You know, as bad as it is for you to endure this, the way this was handled by authorities, it could be mishandled for any of us if we were in a similar situation with.
We believe it has been. We've had people contact us and say it has been.
Yeah, no real
And
investigation.
not many, but there are some. And, a lot of people don't want to be out there, don't want to, get involved.
Yeah. Yeah, 13,
We have gone farther in this type of case than anybody else ever has.
13 years later, when you think of Ellen, what memories come to mind that are painful or joyful or just, are always there?
Her big smile.
And you must think about what could have been if she did not.
That's the most painful part of it all, is all the things
That we're
she
missing.
could have had and that we could have been part of. And the fact that because certain individuals in Philadelphia feel they can make their own rules and not follow the law, can try to erase her existence. She's living on and has left a legacy that we are very proud of. And just because they want Ellen to disappear and pretend that it was a suicide, which is just bombastic.
It's a lie.
They're
It's a lie.
they expected us to leave and go underground years ago, and they found that they picked the wrong girl to murder. They picked the wrong parents to mess with.
And they believe that now, believe me.
Well,
They thought this would end in a couple of years. Us being in Harrisburg, them being in Philadelphia, them being all powerful and wealthy. I don't know who's involved in it exactly, but whoever it is thinks they had a lot of power, political
And there were a lot of fingerprints on this
case.
And there are a lot of people turning around and watching their backs.
Right.
Because they didn't do the right thing. And guess what? It's still time to do the right thing.
Even today.
Because guess what? The truth always comes out.
as long as it takes.
Right.
Seems to be.
And as long as I'm alive,
As long as we're alive.
well,
Either one of us.
right.
So-
This will be.
I actually believe right now we have a little bit of momentum. It seems that other people have joined in and volunteered to help us that I didn't know about until recently when I spoke to Mr. Pedrosa. And we're getting to be in court, maybe.
Mr. Pedrosa is your lawyer who's been on
What?
this for a number of years now.
Yes.
Joe Pedrosa, yeah.
Mhm.
So I guess in wrapping this up, we could safely say that no matter what, you are not giving up.
No, we are not. That's funny even to say that.
Well-
They know we're not giving up. They look over their shoulders every minute of every day.
So every lie that is made, the hole gets deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper.
Well, it's obvious that you're not giving up. It's obvious that you're still pursuing this with vigor, as painful as it may be, and you are determined to see this through to the end, which will be the truth emerging.
Right, justice for Ellen.
Okay, Sandy and Josh, once again on 13th anniversary of the death of your daughter, thanks for joining us. And
Thank you, Larry.
Once again, I'd like to thank you and the other media who stood by us, Larry. Without the media and people like you, we would be nowhere. So thank you again.
well, thank you for your stamina and your bravery in standing up to what's been an assault on you and your mission here. So, folks, thanks again. We'll be talking again.
Be well, Larry.
Thank you.
Be well.